All right, welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to cover game 39 of a First Book of Morphy. We have Paul Morphy and Thomas Barnes versus Howard Staunton, and I believe that's Reverend John Owen in London, 1858. A consultation game. So let's go ahead and go over the moves. Again, e4, e5, knight f3, d6. And here just the author comments that if black goes immediately with f5, then knight captures e5. White is able to centralize his knight while also capturing a center pawn from black. So we have d6, d4, f5, d captures e5, f captures e4, knight g5, d5. Holding on to the e4 pawn. Black has a majority of pawns in the center, but he trails in development. So this is not a gambit of material, but of time, right? So again, black has the two center pawns here, but has no pieces developed. So black needs to hurry up and catch up in development. So we have e6 by white, threatening knight f7. So knight h6, defending that square. Knight c3. Knight c6. Knight captures. Knight g captures on e4. This is a knight sacrifice. Again, I'm not sure if this was the right move here, sacrificing the knight. D captures e4, and now white could take here on d8 and prevent black from castling, but that does not happen. We have queen h5, g6, and queen e5, right, threatening the rook on h8. Now here, I believe the engine says that is +1 or +2 for white. So white has a very good position here. Rook g8. And then here, I believe this is the position from the thumbnail, right? White has a winning position, but decides to capture on h6. And again, we are in rule number 5, right? Don't expose your king while the enemy queen is on the board. However, this pretty much gives away the advantage from white. Now, in white's defense, throughout this whole game, it was back and forth. White made mistakes, black made mistakes, white made blunders, black made blunders. It could have gone either way. But here, the author comments that the side behind in material, which is white, white because white made the knight sacrifice, should avoid exchanges, especially in a position where his opponent recaptures with a developing move. In this case, bishop captures h6. Bishop captures on h6, develops the bishop, and now controls this diagonal. Right. So instead, the author recommends bishop g5 to keep the pressure on black. Queen d6, and then now black can recapture here and win back his piece. Or if bishop develops, then white pushes the pawn and puts more pressure on black here. So again, this is the first mistake here from white. So in the game, bishop captures h6, rook d1, queen g5, queen c7. Again, going for f7 checkmate and also threatening to capture the bishop on c8. Bishop captures e6, taking away the pawn, and also now the rook guards the knight on b8. Queen captures b7, threatening to capture the rook on a8. e3. Right now here, again, if queen captures a8, then black has a checkmate here with e captures f2 check, king captures f2, and queen e3 check. Now here, if pawn captures on e3, we have queen captures e3, bishop e2, and the author knows that the king is stuck here in the center. Now, if a developing move, bishop d3, then we could have this possible variation. But what happens in the game is f3 by white. So queen e7, offering a trade of queens. Queen captures now a8. And then now black plays king f7. Black, now here, remember, queen captures a8. Now the knight is pinned to the black king. Here, black breaks the pin on his knight and defends it with his rook. And the king can head for safety to h8. Knight e4. Now white is planning for the knight to go to d6 to help get the queen out by the queen going to b7. So bishop f4, stopping knight d6. Bishop e2. King g7. Now here, if queen c7, right, to maybe take the pawn on h2, now g3, now d7 to win the queen pretty much, white has this tactic here. Rook captures d7, queen with check, queen recaptures on d7, queen captures g8, check, king captures on g8, and then knight f6 with the fork. So now black loses the queen, right? So he has this tactic here. So now if instead of queen captures, we have the bishop captures, then we have bishop c4, king g7, and then white takes the rook on g8 because the bishop is defending the queen. However, I believe black saw this and he went king g7. So now we have castles and then queen c7, right? So now if the same sequence combination happens, g3, knight d7, rook d7, queen captures d7, queen captures g8. Now here bishop captures on g8, right? So if we compare the positions, the only difference is that the king is no longer in the way of the bishop. So now here the bishop recaptures and there is no knight fork because the king guards f6. So in the game, yes, king g7, preventing this fork. Now queen c7. So now this leaves a c5 square available for the knight. Here it was guarding these squares. And then now c5 is available for the knight. So knight c5. White is going to go queen b7 to get the queen out. Bishop captures on h2, king h1, bishop c8. The bishop now blocks the rook. There are no discovered attacks available. Again, what could be black's threat? Maybe black wants to go, maybe an example could be a3 and then knight to a6. Now knight takes, bishop takes, and now there's a discovered attack here on the queen. That's probably black's threat. So, again, bishop c8, rook d4, threatening to go to h4 to capture the bishop. Okay, now the bishop retreats, guarding the h4 square and getting out of the way of the file here. The queen also has a threat, queen e5, because there are two undefended pieces for white. So queen e5 would be a double attack here. So now rook e4, king h8, rook d1, queen g7. So now the bishop defends the knight on b8. Rook h4. Again, I guess white wants to go down the exchange. Queen captures on b8. Bishop a6 with a double attack. Queen h2. And now black wins a free piece. Rook d7. Queen h6, knight d4. Bishop c4. Knight f6. e2. Rook e7, queen c1 check, queen g1, queen captures on g1, king captures on g1, e1 queen, rook captures on e1, and then bishop captures on e1. And now here is where white resigned. Again, this game was back and forth with both sides making mistakes and blunders. White did have an advantage here in the beginning, and he gives it away by capturing, right? Instead of playing bishop g5 and threatening to push the pawn with a fork. So that's why I picked this. This one was difficult to pick the thumbnail. That's why I picked this thumbnail. So again, let me know what you thought of this video, and I will see you all in the next one.